Hello, my name is Jayla, and today I'm going to be focusing on the essential question, how does the past exert an influence on the present? The character I will be focusing on today is the flat arc of Jack Turner from the Nickel Boys. My big idea overall is, someone can become so severely haunted by their past that they conceal who they really are and rely on their principles and ideals for support. Turner's guiding philosophy in life is that people are inherently uncivil and should be avoided at all costs. Turner provides this proof when he states, "I used to think out there is out there, and then once you're in here, that everybody in Nickel was different because of what being here does to you. Spencer and them too. Maybe out there in the free world. They're good people, smiling nice to their kids. But now I've been out and I've been brought back. I know that there's nothing in here that changes people. I'm in here and out here are the same." After having a conversation with Elwood in the hospital following Elwood's beating in the White House, Turner explains him his point of view after leaving Nickel and coming back for the second time, that the racial prejudices are the same inside and outside of Nickel. Turner uses their conversations and their bond with Elwood to convey this brutal reality. The way he swallows the soap powder to make himself sick to his stomach so he may avoid working demonstrates his avoidant personality style. Turner's second day in the hospital, Elwood caught him pulling out a piece of folded cardboard out of his sock. Turner swallowed the contents, and an hour later he was hollering. "Doesn't that hurt your stomach?" Elwood asked. "Sure it does, man," Turner said. "But I don't feel like going to work today. These beds are lumpy as hell, but you can get some good shut-eye, you figure out how to lay on them." This is a perfect illustration of Turner's avoidance of both work at Nickel and the behind-the-scenes activities, even putting himself through bodily suffering rather than the mental anguish he would experience outside, particularly in the absence of his friend Elwood. This reveals a lot about Turner's personality. But why is Turner this way? What is the source of his avoidance? This one night I was on my break, and I go out for a cigarette behind the grill, and he's there, in this apron covered with grease. It was a hot night, and he looks at me up and down. He says to me, "I see you out there, putting on a show. Why are you always shucking and jiving for these white people? Ain't nobody teach you self-respect?" I was ready to punch this old fool. He didn't know me, don't know shit about me. I look at him, and he ain't moving. He knows I'm not going to do anything, because he's right in what he says. This passage from Chapter 8 is from Turner's explanation to Elwood of why he was sent back to Nickel. Turner was a pin setter at a bowling alley. As part of his job, he would make friends with the white regulars who occasionally went bowling and performed for them. He claimed that his coworker was harsh and had likely witnessed some things after this interaction. He claimed that he had no idea what had changed that day, but he was aware that that ugly old man had been correct in calling him back into Nickel since he destroyed a man's car. In conclusion, Turner's worries show up as a mixture of conceit, survival, pessimism, as demonstrated by these instances. Now, let's take a look at his opposing catalyst, Elwood. Unlike Turner, Elwood is motivated through his hard desire of justice. Elwood fundamentally believes that his hard work and dedication will ultimately help him achieve success, even through obstacles on his path. Following his arrival to Nickel Academy, he made it his goal to get out of Nickel as soon as possible with his merits to allow him to graduate, but soon he learned that that's not really how the school works. With him getting punished and beaten for doing what he believed was right, ultimately the school tested his moral compass. Elwood said, "It's against the law, state law, but also Elwood's. If everyone looked the other way, he was as implicated as the rest. That's how he saw it, how he'd always seen things." This demonstrated how the school's injustices, not only towards him but also towards every other boy who attended or is currently attending Nickel, truly put Elwood's moral compass to the test. Elwood was adamant about his position and felt that Turner's perspective was depressing. He also regretted Turner's loss of faith in humanity. And because the boys were friends, this indeed disrupted Turner's strong stance of keeping to himself and survival outside and within Nickel's walls, as soon as he wanted to get out of the facility too. After a heated argument over the notes Elwood was planning to give the inspectors, Turner did not agree to his plan, because he knew what the school had in store for Elwood, so he protested this against his friend out of protection. "I'll do it," It was Turner. "What's that?" "That letter in your damn pocket," Turner said. "I'll get it to them. Fuck it. Look at you. You look sick." Elwood searched for a tell, but Turner stood with the con men of the world, and the con men never betray the game. Turner did this out of love, despite his beliefs, because he knew Elwood should not be the one who should be punished. In contrast to Turner, Elwood held his head high, allowing injustices to strike him like a bullet and enabling the boys a nickel to obtain justice, as opposed to keeping his head down to defend himself. Turner, however, was driven by a strong sense of survival and protection. He wished to keep his one genuine friend near to him, and because of his years in nickel, he was aware of Elwood's potential outcomes. Ultimately, though, he just wanted to see him happy. Now, let's look at one last thing, the resolution. Years have passed since Turner and his companion Elwood fled Nickel Academy, with just Turner making it out alive. Turner continues to cling to his truth because of what transpired that day. His flight and his willingness to consider alternatives ultimately resulted in the death of his closest friend. In New York City, there lived a nickel boy who went by the name Elwood Curtis. He'd do a web search on the old reform school now and then, see if there were any developments, but he stayed away from the reunions and didn't add his name to the lists, for many reasons. What was the point? Grown men? What, you take turns handing each other Kleenex? Turner's truth to remain hidden and live a discreet life was still his truth in his future. He changed his name to Elwood Curtis to avoid being discovered as a nickel escapee and to commemorate his best friend, who saw Turner's goodness through his ideals. This journey has affected him in numerous ways, as Turner hadn't even told his wife Millie his true name. He kept himself hidden for so long, he avoided all of nickel and stuff for so long, but he held on to Elwood and wanted to commemorate his friend. In conclusion, Turner's ability to stay low and keep his head down affected his day-to-day life and the future in a positive light and negative light. When he decided to stick up, it ended up in a loss of a loved one.